Hi, everyone. Dan Eisner here from ZLC Employee Benefits Solutions. My passion is working hard to find better ways for employee benefits by partnering with finance and HR leaders in the market. I also look to leverage my relatively unique profile. I've got more than 20 years of experience as an employee benefits advisor, and I have the skills as the only chartered professional accountant working in this industry in the local market. So it's this passion that drove me to develop the Better Benefits podcast series, and thanks for joining me today for another episode. Employee benefits are already a significant cost and they continue to grow with really no relief in sight. But they also continue to be absolutely critical to attract, retain, and engage the employees you need to run your business. At ZLC Employee Benefit Solutions, we are really proud to be one of the few advisors that provides an annual inflation forecast to help our clients with their budgeting work. So here I am with our 2024 forecast. As always, I'm going to give you my thoughts, but I'm really interested to know what you think. Also, if you like what you hear and want to learn more, be sure to hit the like button or follow me on my LinkedIn business page, and get more details about that later. Okay, let's get started. So, employee benefits inflation, it's fluctuated a bit each year over the past 25 years, ranging anywhere from 5 to 10%, but it's generally averaged about 6% per year in Canada. So, coincidentally, that's about the same rate as the US over the long term, even though our systems are very different and the fluctuations have varied for different reasons. However, the issue of inflation is even more topical these days, as you know, as consumer inflation has jumped to levels not seen in 40 years, albeit consumer inflation has been decreasing in 2023. For employee benefits, the perfect storm continues to impact the cost of group benefits. More employees are using the plan, they're using them more often, and they're using them for more expensive items. So, despite these ongoing and persistent financial factors, businesses continue to be under pressure to maintain these plans and also enhance them. Employees always place a high value on group benefit plans when choosing to join an employer or choosing to stay with that employer. Employees' perceptions around the quality of these benefit plans has risen over the past couple of years to levels not seen in almost 25 years. As well, employees continue to actually feel entitled to receiving employee benefits as part of their employment offering. So employees want and need these plans, and employers need to provide them to be competitive in a continuing strong labor market. So let's look backwards before we look forwards. So for 2023, at ZLC, we projected that the cost of employee benefits would increase approximately 8%, which was a slight improvement from the prior year at 9%. Note that the actual historical inflation levels, they've actually been pretty close to our annual projections. So far in 2023, we've definitely been tracking very close to the 8% projection based on the annual renewals that we've processed. Unfortunately, employee benefits plan costs will continue to increase in the near future at levels still higher than general inflation. So let's jump into it benefit by benefit. So, for the life insurance area, the majority of Canadian companies, their annual renewal adjustments are driven primarily by changes in the insurer's broader block of business, what we call their manual rates. In general, the Canadian working population continues to age, and that's not expected to ease for probably another decade until most baby boomers and Gen Xers exit the workforce. For life insurance, we're not expecting any material impact due to factors beyond general aging. So we're expecting life increases to be in the 3 to 5% range. Okay, long-term disability. So in the same way as for life insurance, the aging population will continue to drive disability rates. Now, we've seen added pressure on these rates over the past 15 years due to the increasing incidence and duration of mental health claims, particularly over the past couple of years with the COVID-19 pandemic, and now the risks of a recession, consumer inflation, and global insecurity. As well, disability claims to be continue further complicated by a general reduction in the quality of healthcare in Canada, with significant increases in delayed surgeries and untreated conditions. Now, on a slightly more positive note, the higher interest rates we've seen since the beginning of 2022 will eventually help reduce disability rates from an actuarial perspective, as they drive down the reserves required for open disability claims. Lastly, most plans require employees to pay the LTD premiums to ensure a non-taxable benefit, so the inflationary pressure in this area is most often borne by employees rather than the company. All that said, we're expecting the long-term disability benefit increases to be about 6 to 8% in 2024. So extended health, where some of the really big money is, and as I said, the perfect storm for employee benefit plans is felt most significantly in this area. We also know that general market inflation, including pressure on wages, has likely been increasing the operating costs for most medical service providers. So we expect to see those reasonable and customary fees around paramedical claims and medical devices to rise higher than historical norms next year. On a positive note, though, we're hopeful that the surge of claims that we saw in late 2022 and 2023 that were driven by delayed services during the pandemic, we're hoping those will subside. As well, we'll see some claims reductions for BC groups resulting from the BC government announcement earlier in 2023 around providing coverage for contraceptives to all British Columbians. And these savings could be significant given that this class of drugs currently accounts for about 2 to 3% of all drug claims. But remember, this is only going to be for BC groups. But I could only imagine that other provinces are feeling the pressure to mirror BC's initiative to proactively support women's health. Also, claims for Ozempic increased significantly in 2023, including off label use by people using it for weight loss. But we expect those claims to decline in 2024 as the majority of insurers are implementing stricter protocols to restrict coverage to diabetes and not necessarily as a first line therapy for diabetes. Lastly, the continued introduction of biosimilar drugs, particularly for groups with employees outside BC, which was an early adopter for biosimilar drug strategies, we're expecting those groups to yield financial savings to plan sponsors as well. So there's a bit of good news here for extended health, but we still believe the overall inflation in this area is going to be about 6 to 8% in the coming year. So lastly, dental. So for the past decade and even longer, annual dental inflation has ranged between 6 and 8% each year, but it jumped significantly in 2022 and 2023, primarily driven by dental fee guide increases being much higher than historical norms. But also, we saw higher utilization for dental services as members became more comfortable with in person visits after the pandemic. We really are still unsure what the fee guide increases are going to be for 2024, but hopefully the dentists will calm down and these increases will return to levels more consistent with historical norms. Like with extended health, we're hopeful that the surge in claims, that we saw in 2022 and 2023, driven by the pandemic, they're going to subside. So we're going to be holding our breath until the dental associations confirm where the fee guides are going early in the new year. But overall, we're expecting dental inflation to be about 7 to 9% in 2024. So that's benefit by benefit. From there, it's just simple math. Life accounts for about 5 to 10% of the bill, long-term disability 15 to 20%, extended health 40 to 50%, dental 20 to 30%. Like, put it all together, we're looking at a weighted average of approximately 7% projected annual inflation for 2024. Now, please remember, if your plan has some additional cost drivers, things like an older population or higher historical utilization or high turnover, you could be looking at higher increases. So we recommend using an inflation assumption in your budgets in the range of 5 to 10%. So personally, I'd recommend using more realistic projections and then maybe be pleasantly surprised if you run into positive variances. Okay, now you've heard my thoughts and opinions. Please let me know what you think. Was this advice helpful? How does it compare to what you're hearing from your current advisor or other advisors in the market? As well, I'm always interested to know if there are other current topics that you'd like to see me cover in future podcasts. Let me know what's bothering you or keeping you awake at night with respect to your employee benefits plans. So thanks for joining me today for this podcast. Be sure to follow me on my LinkedIn business page, which is Dan Eisner, Employee Benefits Advisor. As well, you can subscribing to my YouTube channel for a notification on the next Better Benefits podcast. All that information will be coming up on the screen in a second. Thanks so much.